very, very warm Abbotsbury welcome to my very good friend Lucy Ward.
Hey up! Are you alright? Isn't it such an amazing day? I can't get over it, particularly with last year, but just generally, we're in Britain and the sun is shining. We've got to give thanks, people. We've got to give thanks. And to honour this incredibly beautiful, marvellous day, I thought I'd sing you a song about the end of the world. You can tell it's folk music, can't you? Now this song, it's called The Last Pirouettes. And I can't see my tuner because it's so bright on stage. Ugh. You know, somebody once told me that tuning your guitar for ages makes you look like a better guitarist. So this has actually been in tune the whole time. I just thought I'd, you know, drag it out. Ladies and gents, come take your seats. The overture has begun. The stage is set, the cast complete. There's nothing left to be done. The prima ballerina and her painted face, makeup like concrete is set. She bows to the crowd with a practiced grace. Then she dances. She dances the last pirouette. Now the children of love with the sun in their eyes lie dead in the strawberry fields. But the spirits has flown to the faraway sky, and the future has nothing to yield. The prima ballerina and her painted face, makeup like concrete is set. She bows to the crowd with a practiced grace. Then she dances. She dances the last pirouette. Now the stage revolves as the orchestra plays. The angels of war are in flight. But the show must go on in its usual way, though the winds can be heard in the night. The prima ballerina and her painted face, smashed by the first clarinet. She falls to the floor in a heap of lace, and he dances. He dances the last pirouette. And he dances. And he dances. Ladies and gents, Come take your seats, the final act has begun. The stage is set, the cast complete. There's nothing left to be done. So very much, thank you. If you could do that after every one of me songs, that'd be bang on. Cheers. I'm afraid to say that probably is the happiest song in the set. See, you can't win them all, but I'm not going to feel too bad about it today because you've got this gorgeous weather to keep you happy, and also I know that you've got a really killer second half to this concert lined up. So I'm going to sing you a song now that comes all the way from my hometown of Derby. You're all from Derby, are you? Excellent, come on you Rams. But anyway, this song, it's completely true. So I don't want to tell you too much about it because I'm kind of hoping that the song will tell the story. However, there are a few things that I need you to bear in mind whilst you're listening. Firstly, this is completely true. Happening around 1904, 1905 in a village called Little Eaton, which is just about 20 minutes outside of Derby, should you ever have the pleasure of visiting the place. Now in 1904/1905, if you found yourself without anywhere to live or any way to make rent on somewhere, you were taken off to the workhouse. That was just the way of the world. Now, the only amount of money you needed on you to not be considered quite destitute enough for the workhouse was a threepence. And finally, a bacon box is what they bring pigs from the slaughterhouse in. Gross? I know. However, I'm really hoping it's this last fact that's intrigued you. Nonetheless, this is Alice in the Bacon Box. My name once were Alice Grace, the flower of my town. All the boys used to turn and stare, and they still do that now. I once had a lover, and he was strong and kind and true. Or at least I thought he was, but he were all I knew. He were all I knew. He were all I knew. I forgot to tell you. That's your bit. My name once were Alice Grace, the fallen lady in my town. All the boys, well, they turned away, though they're blooming staring now. And when me mother died, it broke me father's heart in two. Within 10 days it passed away, and they were all I knew. They were all I knew. They were all I knew. Go on, be brave. They were all I knew. They were all I knew. That's it, thank you. My name once were Alice Grace, the beggar in my town. Couldn't afford to pay me rent, and so I got turned out. But this kind-hearted butcher wouldn't see me on the streets. He gave me a bacon box and a scrap of food to eat. Old Alice in the bacon box, that's what they called me. Lived off the kindness of strangers in me box upon the green. And though the workhouse in Shardlow tried to take me for its own, I'd pull from me shoe bright penny in two, and they'd have to send me home. They'd have to send me home. Have to send me home. They'd have to send me home. Have to send me home. They'd have to send me home. Have to send me home. Have to send me home. Now one day the copper caught me, no threepence to my name, and he carted me off to Shardlow. And I saw me box again. So very much, thank you for singing along. Now, I must apologise, because I lured you into a bit of a false sense of security there, that all was going to end well for Alice, and then whipped that rug of happiness from under your feet right at the last verse. And for that I am truly sorry, and to make up for it, it is time for a happy song. I say this is happy, it's probably just a little bit faster than what I normally play, but I figure that counts as upbeat. Yeah, hopefully. So, has anybody here been down to Sidmouth Folk Week? Oh, lots of you. In which case, have any of you tried the macaroni and cheese pies? You really should. I can't believe it. This is like, I say this at every gig, and here the most proportion of people ever have said they've been to Sidmouth, and none of you have tried the pies. I'm telling you, until you have tasted pasta and pastry married together as one, you've not lived. Quite sure it's what heaven tastes like. So hey, other than eating a variety of fabulous pastry-based goods whilst I was down in Sidmouth, I did do some gigs, and I was part of a thing called the O'Hooley Antido Sidmouth Cabaret. Yeah, it was about as exciting as it sounds, thank you. And the idea of this cabaret was you couldn't do anything from your normal set, so it had to either be a folk song in a pop style or a pop song in a folk style. And to give you an idea of how it went on, the evening opened with an electro-pop version of Are You Going to Scarborough Fair? Complete with robot dance moves. It's a very strange evening. In fact, Jim Murray, who you've got up here to entertain you later, he teamed up with the fabulous Jackie Oates, and they did a version of, I've forgotten the name, Wasn't It Good? Oh, so good, wasn't it fine? Sensing I took that too far. And you might have just got it from the first line. But they did a cover of that, and it was a very strange and wonderful evening. And this was my offering. And I learnt this song. It's a very traditional song, and I learnt it from the singing of Jarvis Cocker from Pulp. So, this is Common People. Should you feel the urge at any given moment to sing along, then go for it. Got my best rock star move, you know. You ready for this? Take your pity clap, thank you. She came from Greece. She had a thirst for knowledge. Studied sculpture at St. Martin's College. That's where I caught her eye. She told me that her dad was loaded. I said, in that case I'll have rum and Coca-Cola. She said, fine. And then in 30 seconds time, she said, I wanna live like common people. I wanna do whatever common people do. Wanna sleep with common people. I wanna sleep with common people like you. Well, what else could I do? I said, oh, I'll see what I can do. It's my single funniest moment of the set, just in case you missed it, right there. And while you're laughing at my hilariousness, I'm just gonna tune this horrifically out of tune string. Cause you know, it's one of those moments. So, oh, that's so gross, sorry. While we're doing this, let's just recap on the song. He really wants to sleep with her, but she's not up for it. That's pretty much the whole recap. Sorry about this. The weather, it's beautiful, but it hates my guitar. Right, are you ready? Are you ready? I think you're ready, aren't you? Come on, come on. I said, I'll see what I can do. Still sounds horrible, but never mind. I took her to a supermarket. I don't know why, but I had to start it somewhere. So it started there. I says, pretend you've got no money. She just laughed and said, oh, you're so funny. I says, yeah. Well, I can't see anyone else smiling out here. Are you sure? You wanna live like common people. You wanna see whatever common people see. Wanna sleep with common people. You wanna sleep with common people like me. But she didn't understand. She just smiled and held my hand. Rent a flat above the shop. Cut your hair and get a job. Smoke some fags and play some pool. Pretend you never went to school. Still you'll never get it right. Cause when you're lying in bed at night, watching roaches climb the walls, if you call your dad, he can stop it. Oh yeah, you'll never live like common people. You'll never do whatever common people do. Never fail like common people. Never watch your life slide out of you. You'll dance and drink and screw, cause there's nothing else to do. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, la la. Ooh, la la. Ooh, la la. Ooh, la la. Well sung. silliness. Thank you very much. Now, seeing as my guitar's having a paddy, I wasn't going to do this song, but it makes sense to do an unaccompanied number. Now, this song, it is a happy song, but... How did you know that was coming? But it's about domestic violence. So, hey, you can't win them all, can you? Now, this song, it was written by the late and extremely great Mike Watson. And this too is based on a true story, and it's called A Stitch in Time. Well, there once were a woman, and she lived on her own, and she slaved on her own, and she skivvied on her own. She'd 2 little boys and 2 little girls, yet she lived all alone with her husband. Well, her husband, he was a hunk of a man, he was a chunk of a man, he was a drunk of a man. He was a hunk of a skunk of a drunk of a man, such a boozy, bruising bully of a husband. Well, her husband come home drunk each night, and he'd belt her black and he'd belt her white, thrash her to within an inch of her life, and then he'd snore like a pig, would her husband. One night she gathered her tears all around her shade, and she covered up the bruising and she cried with the pain. No, you'll not do that ever again, for I can't live anymore with a drunken husband. While her husband lay asleep in the bed, oh, the strangest thought came into her head. And she took up the needle and she sought out the thread, and she went straight into her sleeping husband. Well, she set to work with a girlish thrill and a woman's eye and a seamstress skill. She bibbed and tucked with an iron will, and she stitched all around her sleeping husband. Oh, the top sheets and the bottom sheet too, and the blanket stitched to the mattress through. She bibbed and took the whole night through, and waited for the dawn and her husband. Well, her husband woke with a pain in his head, and he found he could not move in the bed. Sweet Christ in heaven, have I lost me legs? Now she just sat and smiled at her husband. In her hand she held the frying pan, and with the flutter of her heart she flew at him. And he could not move, and he cried, God damn, now don't you swear at me, me drunken husband. Well, she belt him black and she belt him blue, with the frying pan and the colander too. And the rolling pin, just a stroke or two, such a boozing, bruising and repenting husband. Now if you will come home drunk anymore, I'll stitch you in and I'll thrash you more, and I'll pack me bags and I'll be gone, for I can't live anymore with a drunken husband. Now isn't it true what a wife can do with a rolling pin and a stitch or two? Now he's sobered up and his boozing is through, and she don't live anymore with a drunken husband. Ah, very much, thank you. I played that song down in Broadstairs in Kent, and I finished my set with it. And after I'd got off stage at the end of this concert, right, this woman was running at me. She's going, Lucy, 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 and I'm going, okay, hi, nice to meet you, hi. Where did you get that song from? And I explained, you know, true story and a song written by Mike Watson. She was like, oh, right, okay, in which case, I have a story for you. Which usually is a fine way to start a sentence, but in the case of this woman, I was quite afraid. So she goes to me. She was brought up in Bellingham, up on Hadrian's Wall. And in Bellingham, when she was growing up, there was a woman where it was the worst kept secret in the village that she was being abused by her husband. But every time anybody asked, it was, I walked into a door or I tripped on the stairs. And one Christmas, this poor woman, the husband says to her, I want the dinner ready by 1 o'clock, I'm going to the pub. So off he goes. She dutifully gets the dinner ready by 1. 1 comes, he's not home. 2 comes, he's not home. Until it gets to the evening, and quite obviously the dinner is ruined, there's no amount of saving. And so he comes home and he thinks that's a good enough reason to beat his wife back and blue, the fact the Christmas dinner isn't ready when he turns up 5 or 6 hours late. And then he passed out on the sofa. And then she took a tube of super glue in her hand. She took his ding-dong in the other. And she super glued it upright onto his belly. Which is like a great story, but this woman's telling me, going, Lucy, you've got to write a song about it. No. But I kind of figured that it gave us hope because, you know, the seamstress skill, it's dying out. But if we can work with super glue, then, whoa, opens up a whole new world. Right then, are you guys up for a protest song? I've had less enthusiastic responses, I'll take that. Now, this song, I wrote it about 2 years ago when we couldn't turn on our TVs without seeing protest everywhere. People in this country, you know, out on the streets, talking about the hiking uni fees and the welfare reforms and the NHS reforms. And I don't know about you guys, but there was just something really exciting about people standing up for stuff. I don't know what it's like where you hail from, but where I'm from, I kind of feel like until the cuts directly affect people's Sky broadband packages, they're not really going to be bothered about what goes on. Which seems wrong, wouldn't you agree? So anyway, I wrote this song and it's called For the Dead Men. And to clarify, the dead men are the people who marched before us. They're the Jarrow marchers. They're everyone who's ever stood up for the things they believe in. It's also all those really apathetic people. It's also all the people who are left to fall off the thin end of the wedge in these times. And I don't want to go on, but in this last few months where we've said the final farewell to welfare and the NHS is slipping through our fingers, and we had that event, didn't we, with She Who Must Not Be Named. Where, you know, we could talk about the politics all night, but at the end of the day, our government chose to spend millions of pounds of public money on something that could have been done very respectfully, very privately. And it's just not on when the most vulnerable in our society are told that there simply ain't enough dough. So this song has become a bit of a rallying cry. That's very kind of you. I may look like I'm crying, but it's only because the sweat is running into my eyes. For the dead man, I sing my song. For the dead man, I sing my song. Try that. For the dead man, I sing my song for the dead man. I sing my song out on the streets, their banners held high, for love and for peace they stand all to fight. But for death or for glory, we're forced to decide. A moment in history or just the passing of time. For that dead man I sing my song. For the dead man I sing my song. Those who run our countries, they will never see, 'cause they've never had to make the choice to bite the hand that feeds. There are thousands of people who were left to fall between the cracks in our culture, that were torn apart by greed. For the dead man I sing my song. For the dead man I sing my song. And what about the youth who can't afford to go to school, with no path to walk upon, a generation left to crawl, with cuts to public services and national health reform? It's all for one and none for all, I guess. We've been here before. For the dead man I sing my song. For the dead man I sing my song. Stand up and take to the streets. They can't ignore us if we all choose to speak. Try that. Stand up and take to the streets. They can't ignore us if we all choose to speak. Stand up and take to the streets. They can't ignore us if we all choose to speak. Stand up and take to the streets. They can't ignore us if we all choose to speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for listening. I've just got time for one more song for you. So thanks for being lovely. It's always fantastic when audiences choose not to throw rock, fruit, veg this way, and I greatly appreciate it, particularly as the heat has been against me today. I appreciate your kindness. There are CDs available next to the mountain of everybody else's merchandise, but the very best thing you can do, to be totally honest, is if you have enjoyed it, to tell people about it. Facebook it, Twitter it, twaddle it, whatever it is you people do. For all the artists you've seen today, it'd be extremely helpful. We don't have big promotional teams behind us. If you haven't enjoyed it, I, for one, would appreciate it if you take that secret to your grave. Thank you. Oh, it's in tune. Amazing. Right then, this song. You can tell it's happy, because it's got a ukulele in it. Because it wasn't my intention to send you into the interval completely clinically depressed. So this song, it was written by John Prine, and it's very, very subtle. It's called simply Let's Talk Dirty. In Hawaiian. Well, I packed my bags and bought myself a ticket to the land of the tall palm tree. Aloha, oh Milwaukee. Hello, Waikiki. As I stepped down from the airplane, swear I heard them say, waka waka dooka-licka, waka waka dooka-licka, would you like a lay? Hey, let's talk dirty in Hawaiian. Whisper in my ear, kika-puka maka wawaini, are the words I long to hear. Lay your coconuts on my tiki. What the heck, a mooka mooka dear? Let's talk dirty in Hawaiian. Say the words I long to hear. That's the chorus. Well, it's a ukulele Honolulu sunset. Listen to the grass get sway. Drinking rum from a fresh pineapple on Honolulu Bay. The steel guitars are playing. She tells me with her hands. She says, gimme, yoka-doka, make a wish. I wanna poke her words I understand. So let's talk dirty in Hawaiian. Whisper in my ear, kika-puka maka wawaini, are the words I long to hear. Lay your coconuts on my tiki. What the heck, a mooka mooka dear? Let's talk dirty in Hawaiian. Say the words I long to hear. Now, before we go into this final verse, it's that time for me to thank the fabulous show of hands for having me here today, and all the brilliant backstage staff who worked so hard to make this a slick show for all of you. So can you give them a big hand, please? It's also the time of the show where I tell you I've been doing this job just long enough to know a field full of this many people sounds louder than that. Now, it's a sunny Saturday afternoon. So if you don't want to sing, that's totally cool. I'm not going to point you out. I'm not going to humiliate you. But what I'd love for you to do, whether you're singing or not, is pretend you're in your shower. Or your front room. But basically, you're on your own, so it doesn't matter how loud you sing, because there's no one else there to hear you. If you want to throw in a harmony, just go for it. If it goes wrong, don't chuff it, worry about it. Mine always do. So, I'll expect to hear you when we next get round to the chorus, eh? Well, I bought a lot of junk with my moolah, and I sent it to the folks back home. You know, I never got the chance to dance one hula. I guess I should have known. If you want to talk with a sweet wahine, you walk her in the pale moonlight. You say, okie-dokie, what I said, a knocker-rocker, Cisco-bocker rope. I've said that right.
pretend you haven't heard that line. After 3, 1, 2, 3, lay your coconutters on my... Don't pretend you haven't heard that line. After 3, 1, 2, 3, lay your coconutters on my tiki. Oh, that's it. What the heck, a milk dear? Let's talk dirty in Hawaiian. Say the words I long to hear. Let's talk dirty in Hawaiian. Say the words I long to hear. Aloha.